welcome back. Today we're going to cover a topic that's a little bit heftier than we have in the past. We kind of just want to start off by saying we're not lawyers of any kind.
At all.
We're not going to give any kind of legal advice, but we do work with students all day, every day, and from working with students all the time and presenting, we get a lot of questions about juvenile law, and students are often misinformed or don't know the real answers. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we've seen most while out presenting, and then we just want to encourage parents to start having conversations surrounding juvenile law with their students, but always make sure that you're researching for yourself and figuring out what the laws and consequences and such are in your specific county. Laws are ever changing, so we can tell you what is happening right now and what we're seeing, but just make sure that you're always researching for yourself and having those conversations with your students, actually starting at a pretty young age.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, I think students at the end of the day, all they want to know is what they can be held accountable for, what they can't, what their rights are, and really know what these laws mean, like, concretely. And so, again, we are not lawyers and we're not trying to give legal advice, but we just want to start opening the door to that conversation and making sure that you are talking to your kids about these topics. Today, we're not going to cover every single piece of juvenile law. That would take way too long, but we're going to focus on a couple of points and main topics that students are always asking about.
So let's start with giving some framework, okay? These are just a couple things that you need to know when approaching this conversation. So first thing, when it comes to juveniles in the juvenile court systems, judges have a lot of say in each case. It's really hard to give a concrete, specific punishment that a student's gonna get for X, Y, or Z action because every single juvenile case is different. So we can tell you generally what we're seeing right now, but each judge is different and each case is different, and a lot of factors play into sentences.
Absolutely. Maybe this isn't the kid's first time offense. Maybe they've had other run-ins with the law. A lot of, I think, the punishment is circumstantial, but there is written penal code, so that's what we will go through with you guys today. The first thing that I just kind of want to throw out there before Sydney gets into some more detail, 17 is the legal age of adulthood here in Texas, which means that 17 is the age where you can actually enter the adult legal system, like prison or adult jail.
Yeah, so the thing with that is you can't go to an adult jail if you're younger than 17, but a judge can decide that if you're between the ages of 14 and 17 that you will be tried as an adult. So that's where people get a little bit confused. But if you're 14, you're not going to get sent to a prison with other 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old people.
By the time you're 14 in the state of Texas, a judge can determine whether or not you can be tried as an adult, depending on how severe that crime is. So now that we do have kind of just established a little bit of framework, the first thing that we are going to cover is what's called the 15-year-old law. So the 15-year-old law is Penal Code 807. It's the age affecting criminal responsibility. In Texas, the age of affecting criminal responsibility is 15, and what the law states is this, and I'm going to actually read it in quotes, so
you know exactly what it says, exactly. And then we'll explain from there.
A person may not be prosecuted for or convicted of any offense that the person committed when younger than 15 years of age. So that is what it says. Basically, what this is saying is at 15, you can be charged with crime. However, if you are between the ages of 10 and 15, the judge in your case can decide that you, if you knew what you were doing was wrong by the time that you were 10, they can charge you with a crime as young as 10 years old. And so at Crime Stoppers, one thing that we always just kind of like to tell students is by the time that you turn 10 years old, you can be charged with crime. But how it's written in the penal code is that there's kind of some gray area between 10 and 15, and the judge is going to try to determine if you knew what you were doing at the time was illegal, was wrong, was there judgment on that, and that will kind of determine the punishment.
And again, we encourage you to go read those penal codes for yourself. They get very long and very confusing, but it is nice to just read it and look at it with your own set of eyes to be able to determine what that means. Bottom line is, if you're 10, you could be charged with a crime. So with that said, one of the biggest topics that we hear about in schools is the subject of inappropriate pictures or videos, okay? Kids want to know how far they can push the line. Is what they're doing technically illegal or just frowned upon? Okay, so we're going to cover child pornography, which is what these things are considered at this point. And students are always shocked to find out that you actually can get arrested for simply just having an image of a minor on your device.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do next is read again the Child Pornography Penal Code. So
I stuck you with all the penal codes.
It's okay. So child pornography in Texas, the penal code is 4326, and it's possession or promotion of child pornography. The law about child pornography can get a little bit confusing. I just want to point that out there. So we're going to kind of just read what it stated. A person commits an offense if the person knowingly or intentionally possesses or knowingly or intentionally accesses with intent to view visual material that depicts a child younger than 18 years of age who is engaging in sexual conduct, including a child who engages in sexual conduct as a victim of an offense.
So that was a mouthful.
That was mouthful.
And that was like the condensed version that we made to sound even a little bit better. But those are direct words from the penal code. Basically what that's saying is that if you knowingly have an image of someone who's under the age of 18, you can be held accountable for that legally. If you're an adult, typically we see felonies here. Minors, again, everything's up to the judge, so it really depends. But parents get really scared with this because they're like, as adults, if we open up an image and it's an inappropriate picture, or even like for us, we've been in schools where a picture is airdropped to one of us and it's an inappropriate picture, okay? We didn't knowingly look at that, but if we knowingly keep it on our phone and don't report it or don't do something about it, then that's where we have an issue. Or if we decide to pass it along, or we send it to our friend and we say, hey, what do we do about this? That's considered distribution of child pornography, and that's when it becomes a really big issue, and you can face legal consequences for that.
So what I'm going to kind of walk you through is what we tell kids. And so during our cyber safety presentations, inappropriate images is a big topic of conversation starting in middle school and high school. And so what we like to tell our students is that taking a naked photo or taking an inappropriate photo of yourself under the age of 18 is considered child pornography. If you take this image and you send it to somebody else, you have now created child pornography. If you get these images sent to you and you don't report them and you keep them on your phone, now you have possession of child pornography. If you take, let's say you get an image sent to you and you know, unfortunately it's used as gossip or it's used to bully or hurt somebody, and you keep forwarding that image on, now you could be charged with distribution of child pornography. So there's creating, there's possessing, there's distributing. They're all offenses. You can get in a lot of trouble for all of them, and kids just don't see those three facets really. They see it as one big problem, but they don't realize that there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle in this law, and that there's so many things that you could be charged for. One thing I do want to reiterate is parents, just know, you know, if you bought your child their cell phone and you paid for it and you pay the bill, so you keep it working every single month, that is legally your phone, and by law you are responsible for the content that is on your device that you own. And so not only can your kids get in trouble for distributing or creating or possessing child pornography, there could be legal consequences that come your way. And what we found is when parents explain that to kids and they really have a good conversation together about this, it will deter that behavior once kids figure out that, you know, their parents can be held accountable for this.
The other thing that I really want to bring up here is it's so important to remind students that whatever they send or post or do is saved for forever, especially when it comes to Snapchat, okay? Snapchat gives you a false sense of reality, and it makes you think that, okay, you can send a picture or an image and it's going to disappear quickly. Snapchat saves every picture you've ever sent. So a lot of times we see inappropriate pictures sent through Snapchat, but those pictures can be recovered, and you can face legal consequences for those images. So just talk about that. Remind them that, hey, what you do or what you're doing and what you think is secret is not actually secret.
Absolutely.
And
And
can come back up at any time.
Absolutely, and that's why I think child pornography is such a hard thing to talk about, because not only are there like legal stuff that can like be really bad and that could happen, it's also there's so many people victimized over this, and there's a lot of bullying and blackmail that comes into play, and so we as presenters in schools never stray away from talking about like the social and emotional part of this as well. But I think what we're trying to focus on today is the law. What is the exact law and how to talk to your kids about that.
So these are just a couple laws that we find really important to know about. But in this conversation, we're hoping that you are now interested in law and that you can go do your own research so that you can begin having these conversations. Again, we said at 10, you can start being charged with crimes. So really, these conversations need to start pretty young.
Right around then.
Yeah. So 10 is usually about 4th grade. So please go and do your own research. Please have these conversations. If you have questions, reach out. We're happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that this video might have been a little bit different than the ones we've done in the past, but we think it's important to not stray away from these heavy topics, and really appreciate y'all hanging in there with us on this video. There's other things that you can research in the penal code, like ages of consent and other really important topics that I think that you should be discussing with your kids. As always, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We are always posting things on our social media. Also, please go to our website for a blog post that Sydney wrote about penal code that kind of outlines this stuff in more detail.
It's a good reference for you if you're like, wait, what is that code that she said? So.
Yeah, absolutely. So please check out our blog post and stay tuned for our next episode. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.